People keep making this all about Diddy rather than looking at everything that's happening around it.
Rapper Tory Lanez, who's currently serving a decade in prison behind bars.
There's a lot of people that want to protect the Diddy agenda because it serves them, because allegedly they're all accomplices. He knew they were taking those young boys to Diddy. They all knew. He talked. He say nothing about Bryshere. You still want me to be a liar? Because it seems like, from my contemporary era, I was probably one of the only artists that was brave enough to tell the truth.
People have been working together, all in cahoots for all of this time, and it needs to all be addressed.
3 years ago, Bryshere Gray was arrested in a dramatic standoff with police. Tonight, Jaguar Wright claims she knows exactly why, and the evidence she's allegedly submitted to prosecutors could rewrite everything we thought we knew about Diddy's case. But here's what's really shocking. The signs were there all along, and according to Wright, people in the industry knew but stayed silent. They say the truth has a way of surfacing when you least expect it. Well, Jaguar Wright just dropped what she's calling the final piece of the puzzle in Diddy's ongoing legal battle. We're talking about alleged evidence involving Bryshere Gray that Wright claims exposes not just individual wrongdoing, but an entire system of exploitation. When Jaguar Wright walked into that courtroom, she didn't just bring evidence, she brought a nuclear bomb that's about to detonate the entire entertainment industry. The woman who's been screaming from the rooftops about these peas finally had her moment, and she did not disappoint. Picture this. Federal prosecutors are building their case against Diddy when suddenly Jaguar Wright appears with bodyguards. Yes, bodyguards, because she knew exactly how dangerous this moment was going to be. She didn't just crash the trial. She walked in with what she claims are never-before-seen tapes of Diddy with Bryshere Gray when he was just 17 years old. But here's where it gets absolutely sickening. Will Smith was allegedly on those tapes too. According to Jaguar's explosive claims, Will Smith wasn't just a bystander in this horror show. He was the one who delivered Bryshere to Diddy like some kind of twisted gift exchange. Think about that for a second. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, America's sweetheart, allegedly hand-delivered a teenage boy to a P under the guise of mentorship. The audacity is breathtaking.
Because of all that he talked, he say nothing about Bryshere. He played his television father.
Right.
He was on set. He saw what Charlie Mack and them were doing. He knew they were taking those young boys to Diddy. They all knew.
Jaguar claims there's a secret tape featuring Justin Bieber, Will Smith, Jaden Smith, Diddy, and Bryshere all together in what she describes as a freak-off. If this is true, we're not just talking about individual crimes. We're talking about a systemic network of exploitation that reaches the highest levels of Hollywood. The prosecutors didn't let these tapes play in court, but they accepted them as evidence and are reportedly working to subpoena Bryshere as a witness. Can you imagine the courage it would take for him to testify against these powerful men who allegedly destroyed his life? And what happened to Bryshere after these alleged violations? The story is heartbreaking and infuriating. The young man went from being the breakout star of Empire to selling himself on OF for chicken change, as Jaguar so bluntly put it. Think about that fall, from Hollywood's golden boy to desperate survival mode. The DV incidents, the arrests, the complete meltdown we've witnessed, Jaguar claims this is all the result of what Diddy and Will allegedly did to him. She says they turned him out and passed him around the industry until there was nothing left of the person he used to be. Bryshere's recent arrests for DV, his bizarre behavior, his refusal to take medication for diagnosed bipolar disorder and ADHD, these aren't just random acts of a troubled celebrity. According to Jaguar, these are the symptoms of a young man whose soul was systematically destroyed by Ps who used their power to exploit him. The most damning part? Jaguar claims Bryshere's own mother and manager were in on it, profiting from his exploitation. If true, this boy had absolutely no one protecting him from these monsters. This isn't just about one victim. It's about exposing a machine that chews up young talent and spits out broken human beings. The most heartbreaking and infuriating aspect of Bryshere Gray's current situation is the psychological prison he's trapped himself in. Despite everything he allegedly endured, the exploitation, the mistreatment, the systemic destruction of his innocence, Jaguar believes he's now desperately clawing his way back to the very people who destroyed him.
You know, it's amazing when you hear the first album, you can hear the joy and the enthusiasm and the excitement for life and for art and all of that. But then that second album comes and it starts to get a little different. But by the third, fourth, and fifth album, they're talking pure insanity.
This is textbook trauma bonding at its most devastating point. Bryshere's recent attention-seeking behavior isn't just random desperation, it's a calculated campaign to get back into Diddy's good graces and regain access to those elite circles that simultaneously elevated and destroyed him. He's posting controversial content, making public statements, and creating legal drama, all in the hopes that the people that formerly aid him will notice him again and welcome him back into their twisted fold. Think about how sick that is. The very people who allegedly turned him out and passed him around like property are the same ones he's now begging to accept him back. It's like watching someone crawl back to their captor, and it's absolutely gut-wrenching to witness. The federal courthouse in Manhattan has become the epicenter of what could be the most explosive celebrity trial in decades, and Jaguar Wright just delivered what prosecutors are calling the smoking G that could finally bring down Sean Diddy Combs for good. While Cassie Ventura's emotional testimony laid the foundation for the government's case, it's Bryshere Gray's evidence that could be the final nail in Diddy's legal coffin. For weeks, the defense has been systematically dismantling Cassie's credibility, painting her as a willing participant in a twisted but consensual relationship who's now seeking financial gain. They've highlighted her $20 million settlement with Diddy and her recent alleged $10 million payout from the Intercontinental Hotel, arguing this was nothing more than an elaborate money grab. The defense successfully created doubt by emphasizing that Cassie stayed in the relationship for over a decade, used burner phones to communicate with other men, and even admitted to threatening violence herself. But Bryshere Gray's situation shatters every defense argument they've carefully constructed. Unlike Cassie, Bryshere was a minor when the alleged mistreatment began, just 17 years old when he was allegedly handed over to Diddy under the guise of a mentorship program. There's no romantic relationship to muddy the waters, no decade-long consensual partnership to debate, and no financial settlements that could suggest ulterior motives.
The thing that bothers me most about Bryshere Gray, I actually think he's doing all of this so they'll take him back in the club.
According to Jaguar Wright's explosive claims, Bryshere was subjected to the same systemic recording and blackmail tactics that prosecutors have already established with Cassie. Just as Cassie testified that Diddy threatened to release humiliating S footage of her to keep her trapped in a cycle of A, Bryshere allegedly faced identical psychological warfare. The difference? Bryshere was a child when it started. Jaguar claims that whenever Bryshere attempted to break free or do something stupid that might expose the truth, those damning videos would mysteriously surface as a reminder of what Diddy possessed. It's the same leverage Cassie described, what she called Diddy's iPad full of skeletons, but infinitely more devastating when the victim is a minor. These weren't just embarrassing moments between adults, they were allegedly criminal acts involving a child. The psychological impact has been evident for years. Bryshere's erratic behavior, his DV arrests, his complete career implosion. Jaguar argues these weren't random acts of a troubled celebrity, but the predictable symptoms of someone whose soul was systematically destroyed. His recent guilty plea to felony aggravated A and his 10-day trial sentence are just the latest manifestations of trauma that began when he was still a teenager.
How long before he decides it's time to cash out now? How long?
Now sources suggest that Bryshere has reached a breaking point. Facing his own legal troubles and watching Cassie courageously testify about her experiences, he's allegedly entered into legal discussions with federal prosecutors. Unlike previous attempts to regain favor with the people who aid him, this time he's choosing to speak his truth rather than desperately seeking readmission to the very circles that destroyed him. The timing couldn't be more strategic. Bryshere's current custody situation, stemming from his DV case, has actually provided him with a layer of protection from potential retaliation. Behind bars, he's safer from the intimidation tactics that Jaguar claims have silenced him for years. It's created the perfect opportunity for him to finally collaborate with prosecutors without fear of immediate consequences. Jaguar Wright has become his unlikely ally in this process, serving as a bridge between Bryshere and the legal system. Her regular presence at Diddy's trial isn't just about moral support. She's been strategically positioning herself as a conduit for evidence and testimony that could demolish the defense's carefully constructed narrative.
I'm looking at all of these adult black so-called elite entertainment whatevers. Y'all don't give no damn about what's happening to these kids.
The prosecution's racketeering charges have always been the most challenging aspect of their case against Diddy. RICO requires proving a pattern of criminal activity conducted through an ongoing criminal enterprise, and the defense has successfully argued that Diddy's relationships with adult women, however twisted, don't constitute organized crime. But Bryshere's evidence changes that calculation entirely. If prosecutors can prove that Diddy systematically recruited, conditioned, and exploited minors through his network of industry connections, with Will Smith allegedly serving as a recruiter and Charlie Mack as a facilitator, they've established the criminal enterprise element that's been missing from their case. This isn't just about individual acts of violence or coercion. It's about a coordinated system designed to identify, isolate, and exploit vulnerable young talent. The alleged involvement of multiple high-profile figures creates the conspiracy element that RICO demands. Jaguar's claims about secret tapes featuring Justin Bieber, Will Smith, Jaden Smith, Diddy, and Bryshere suggest a network of complicit parties who participated in or facilitated these alleged crimes. If half of these allegations can be substantiated, prosecutors will have the systematic criminal enterprise they need to make their RICO charges stick. Unlike Cassie's testimony, which the defense could frame as the bitter recollections of a scorned ex-girlfriend, Bryshere's evidence comes with the moral clarity that only child exploitation cases can provide. There's no gray area when it comes to the essay of minors. No room for arguments about consent or mutual participation. The videos that Jaguar allegedly submitted to prosecutors don't just corroborate a pattern of mistreatment, they potentially document federal crimes that carry mandatory minimum sentences. The prosecution's case was already strong with Cassie's testimony and the supporting evidence from witnesses like Don Richard, who described threats and violence. But Bryshere's cooperation provides the missing piece that transforms this from a case about dysfunctional adult relationships into something far more sinister, a systematic operation that preyed on children under the cover of industry mentorship. As Jaguar Wright continues her regular attendance at the trial, armed with bodyguards and an unwavering determination to see justice served, she's not just seeking accountability for individual victims. She's working to expose what she calls a system, an entire network, a decades-long pattern of conditioning mistreatment, cover-ups, and broken talent. With Bryshere's evidence now in the prosecutor's hands, that system may finally face the reckoning it has avoided for far too long.
The realistic and esoteric investigation into the life and the work of an artist leading up until they signed the contract and everything that happened after.
What makes Jaguar Wright's upcoming podcast venture truly revolutionary is her unique positioning as both an active participant in the ongoing legal proceedings and an independent media creator. While traditional journalists are bound by editorial constraints and legal limitations, Jaguar operates in a space where she can connect the dots that mainstream media won't touch. Her podcast concept goes beyond typical true crime formats by incorporating what she calls energetic investigation, examining how industry contracts are structured to create spiritual and psychological dependency. She plans to analyze the actual language in recording contracts, publishing deals, and management agreements to show how young artists unknowingly sign away not just their creative rights, but their personal autonomy.
Don't see what's going on? The death of Angie Stone, Clive Davis, Diddy, Rock Nation on the verge of utter collapse. What happened to Tory? Find a way to blame it on him. Now all of a sudden he was trying to start a race. Just so happens.
The launch timing is strategically brilliant. As federal prosecutors build their case against Diddy, Jaguar's podcast could serve as a parallel investigation that fills in the gaps the legal system can't address. While courts focus on specific criminal acts, her platform could explore the broader cultural and spiritual warfare she believes underlies the entertainment industry's exploitation machine. For artists like Bryshere, this represents an unprecedented opportunity to reclaim their narrative. Instead of being defined by mugshots and court documents, they could use Jaguar's platform to explain the psychological manipulation that led to their downfall. The podcast format allows for nuanced storytelling that legal testimony simply can't provide. Jaguar's most dangerous weapon isn't just her willingness to name names, it's her ability to show how seemingly separate incidents are actually part of a coordinated system. By examining multiple artist experiences through the same investigative lens, she could reveal patterns that individual cases might miss. Her plan to feature both current victims and historical cases like Donny Hathaway creates a timeline that spans decades, potentially showing how these exploitation tactics have evolved but remained fundamentally the same. This historical context could be crucial for prosecutors building RICO cases that require proving ongoing criminal enterprises.
First three that I believe we're going to be investigating will be Absol from Top Dog Entertainment, Justin Bieber, and Donny Hathaway.
The combination of her courtroom presence and the media platform creates a two-pronged attack on industry secrecy. While she provides evidence to federal prosecutors behind closed doors, her podcast could simultaneously educate the public about how these systems operate, making it harder for the industry to dismiss individual cases as isolated incidents. This dual approach, legal cooperation and public education, could finally create the accountability that industry whistleblowers have been seeking for decades. Sources close to Jaguar Wright have revealed that federal prosecutors are preparing for what could be the most explosive testimony in the Diddy trial, with both Jaguar and Bryshere Gray expected to take the stand as key witnesses. This dynamic duo represents a devastating 1-2 punch that could unravel the entire criminal enterprise prosecutors have been trying to prove.
These people have been working together, all in cahoots for all of this time, and it needs to all be addressed.
What makes their combined testimony so dangerous is Jaguar's intimate knowledge of the industry's inner workings, paired with Bryshere's first-hand experience as a victim. Jaguar doesn't just know what happened to Bryshere, she witnessed the betrayal that delivered him into Diddy's hands. According to sources, she was actively involved in trying to help Bryshere's mother escape the influence of Charlie Mack, Diddy's alleged facilitator, but the mother ultimately betrayed both Jaguar's trust and her own son's safety. The most heartbreaking aspect of Bryshere's story, according to Jaguar's expected testimony, is how his own mother became complicit in his exploitation. Sources suggest Jaguar will testify about her attempts to warn Bryshere's mother about the dangers of the mentorship program and her efforts to help the family break free from Mack's influence. Instead of protecting her son, the mother allegedly chose financial gain over his safety, essentially gifting Bryshere to Diddy and other powerful figures in exchange for career opportunities and monetary compensation.
I'm glad it's not just me anymore. I'm glad it's someone else. I'm glad there are other people who need to be heard. I'll be sure. I'm glad they're hearing him, Cassie. I'm glad they're hearing her, Kim Porter. Through, I'll be sure. I'm glad. Natanya Rubin, I'm glad. All of these things.
The testimony could be particularly damaging because it establishes the systematic nature of the operation, showing how the enterprise used trusted family members to facilitate the exploitation of minors. It's not just about individual Ps. It's about a network that corrupted parents and turned them into accomplices. The fact that Jaguar has hired professional security to protect herself from Diddy's family and other threats reveals just how high the stakes have become. This isn't typical celebrity drama. This is someone who genuinely fears for her life because of what she knows and what she's prepared to testify about in court. Sources suggest that Bryshere's cooperation could be the key to unraveling connections to other major names in the entertainment industry. His experiences allegedly involve multiple high-profile figures, and his testimony could expose a network that extends far beyond Diddy's immediate circle. The combination of Jaguar's industry knowledge and Bryshere's victim testimony creates an unbreakable chain of evidence that could finally bring justice to an enterprise that has operated in the shadows for decades. Their courage to speak truth to power might just be what brings down this entire house of cards. As this explosive case unfolds, we're witnessing more than just another celebrity trial. We're seeing the potential dismantling of a decades-old system of exploitation that has destroyed countless young lives. With Jaguar Wright's damning evidence, Bryshere Gray's courage to finally speak his truth, and federal prosecutors armed with the smoking G they've been waiting for, Diddy's empire may finally crumble. The question isn't whether justice will be served, but how many other powerful figures will fall when this house of cards collapses. Stay tuned because this story is far from over.